Hey everyone, Happy New Year. This is going to be in no particular order. It's going to be an update over everything where we are now. No, we didn't hit the goal of getting it all done by Christmas. But that's because as we went, we got into more complex pieces than we thought we were going to need or think about. And we realized that there's huge value. I'm going to stand here across my arms and say it was really important that we created these things. And I think you'll agree. So the great part is we are really just tying together the last of the pieces for capturing the data into DML and start transmitting it out, okay, to guys who sign up. So let me just walk through this kind of from where we're at, okay? So we have all these files, and for all these different industries, we've been doing several industries at once, not just one. This thing needs to take off and go like crazy. One of the issues I was pointing out before, I think, is that performance would sag. You know, as we'd run through and make a lot of calls, performance would drop. And the question is, why is performance dropping, right? And I think we all know, don't we? Performance is dropping exactly because the phone numbers start getting labeled as spam likely or scam likely. So one of the issues we found was that can happen kind of randomly with each of the numbers. You just don't know. It's like, how long was the call? You know, was there an interactive voice menu or not? And so how many times did it seem like people are hanging up quickly on the call? And that's what it is that drives the spam likely up. In other words, if you make a lot of calls and a lot of people answer and they talk for a long time, then probably you're not going to hit scam likely. But if you make a lot of calls and a bunch of people hang up quick, you're going to hit spam likely. The flip side are inbound calls. If people are calling into you, then they don't see your name on the caller ID anyway. And so that's not an issue. But the problem with getting marked spam likely is that companies will see that. So instead of a company seeing like a city and a state or some other thing for the caller ID that goes with the number, it just suddenly sees spam likely going with the phone number, right? And so that is what we want to avoid in a big way, because it really does impact how many people are going to react to the call. So that's one thing we figured out how to automate. Like I said, this isn't going to be in a particular order. There are a few things that we did that are huge. One of them is figuring out how to deal with that. And while I'm at it, what else do I want to say? If you ignore spam likely and just say, well, only 1% of the people will answer, but I'm going to pay for 100 calls where they would answer and now only one will answer, then what? Well, then your calls become really, really expensive, right? You're overpaying for calls. So that's why that really matters. Now, if you ignore scam likely or spam likely anyway, it turns into scam likely, right? So how do you rehabilitate numbers like that? Well, you would think you're going to release them and pick up other numbers. Close. There are two things you can do to rehabilitate numbers that have bad scores. One, you just use them for inbound. So you swap them for only inbound purposes. So that calls coming in tend to be a lot longer. When they call you, there's probably going to be a conversation, right? So then that can reduce the spam score. A high spam score is like 85, and okay spam score is down from there. It's like 65. In other words, if your phone number has a spam score of 65, probably it will not show a spam likely rating. But when that number bumps up, like from 65 to 85, then yes, your caller ID switches to spam likely. And then if you ignore it for a while, it goes from 85 to 95 or 100, and then you've got scam likely. So we had to get into that and figure out how to deal with that, because it's a huge cost issue if we don't. So we did custom programming. It turns out there was no automated solution for that at all. We had to get third-party systems and figure out how to run a check, how to release phone numbers, how to pick up new phone numbers and replace them and keep right on going. Interesting, but that took time. That was part of what held us up over the Christmas period. Also, a programmer's sister decided that she had to get married right around Christmas, like 2 weeks before. I think she just really wants to always extend the holiday period every year in her life, maybe. So that took up like a week and a half. Forget it. Let's talk about what we're doing right. So We moved in and we said, not only are we telling people that they can sign up, but a lot of the people are like, how do I know if the leads are good, qualified? And we say, well, we pre-qualify the leads. You know what we realize is a big selling point? Dial this number, right? Listen to the demo. Would you like me to email you a link for a demo? And then, so a DUI lawyer, for example, somebody who is a DUI lawyer can call our demo and walk through as though he was a client or, a prospect and go through it. The way I was showing you guys the accident attorney situation, right? Well, when we get these guys to be able to hear, and the fact that they can give us feedback. We can make adjustments at any time it makes sense. If there's some really obvious thing that we had to add to the list that we didn't know about, we can throw it in. But when they hear how efficient that is, they want to be a part of it, right? Because it means that the answers off of that are either going to match them or not. So the leads will either match them or not, right? So being able to build the lead qualification numbers out too for all these industries. So DUI, we've got all these different questions to ask, right? Then what? We also build it for other things. We went with HVAC, so we can reach out to HVAC guys and convince them that the lead qualification system we have is good for them. Here's roofing, okay? Here is garage door repair and replacement. Here's painting. Here's plumbing. Here's locksmith even, although really, I don't know if we're going to use that. We'll see. Here's carpet cleaning and installation, okay? And auto accident injury, lawyers and penile implants for sure, and roof max for sure. So we built these out, right? So they function. They have assistants that ask the questions. So if somebody lands on one of the websites about any one of these topics and decides to call the phone number, then they're going to go through this where they're going to be asked questions. Now, are they going to be asked all these questions? No. This is like a question with a bunch of possible answers. And then there's another question with a bunch of possible answers. So there are only a few questions on here, like 5, And that's going to give us the information to be able to pass them through, right? And then, of course, there's always just the main information about who they are, where they are, etc. All right. So we're able to use this to ask leads questions and to match that to the stuff we want to store for the incoming companies, right? The companies who want the leads. Okay. All right. I said some of this is totally out of order because this really is, everything is blossoming out there. I don't know how many of you are keeping up, but let me show you through a few things to give you a sense of how all this stuff is going to be tying together. So bear with me. I'm going to show you some basic technology inputs, and then I'm going to kind of tie it together into a bigger picture. Okay. So here's one. I've got something here I did on ChatGPT, and listen to me read it. Okay. Hi, everybody. Picture this. Our AI-powered system can now call hundreds of companies every single day, sharing all the awesome reasons they should hop on board to snag the super targeted leads we're generating. Also using AI. Throw in pre-qualification questionnaires that make sure prospects are legit, automated signups to keep things moving quick, and a ton of behind-the-scenes processes that smooth everything out. And you've got a recipe for lightning speed growth. We're basically teeing these companies up to get the perfect leads faster than ever before, and it's all rolling out next week. We can't wait to show you how we've pulled this off. All right. I want to be able to make calls and not leave the same message every time. I want it to change every time, which is important, but check this out. I'm actually going to take that whole thing and play the audio version of it. Let's see how it sounds. Hi, everybody. Picture this. Our AI-powered system can now call hundreds of companies every single day, sharing all the awesome reasons they should hop on board to snag the super targeted leads we're generating, also using AI. Sounds like me, right? Throw in pre-qualification questionnaires that make sure prospects are legit, automated signups to keep things moving quick, and a ton of behind-the-scenes processes that smooth everything out, and you've got a recipe for lightning speed growth. We're basically teeing these companies up to get the perfect leads faster than ever before,
and it's all rolling out next week. We can't wait to show you how we've pulled this off.
It took me seconds to get GPT to just write a quick little pitch I wanted it to write based on stuff it knew I was doing. And then it just took a couple of seconds to actually turn it into audio, right? Why am I sharing that? Because it's part of a bigger picture. Let me show you something else. This might blow your mind. We're going to go into a video here, okay? So just bear with me and pay attention to the video.
Hi, everyone. As you will quickly notice, this might just be the craziest thing you'll see today. I'll be speaking in English, Russian, Ukrainian, and German in just a moment.
Привет, Юрий, Инесса, Денис, Елена и Сергей.
Как видите, это, возможно, самое безумное, что вы увидите сегодня. Я вот-вот буду говорить на английском, русском, украинском и немецком.
Now Ukrainian.
Привіт, Наталія, Вася, Ірина та Даша.
Як бачите, це, мабуть, найбожевільніше, що ви побачите сьогодні. Я ось говоритиму англійською, російською, українською та німецькою. Wie du siehst, ist das vielleicht das Verrückteste, was du heute sehen wirst. Gleich werde ich auf Englisch, Russisch, Ukrainisch und Deutsch sprechen. I'll start with English. If it looks like I'm sitting here in my Seattle office on this sunny day, well, you're half right. But I created this video especially to make conversations with my non-English speaking friends more personable. And hopefully more interesting and enjoyable. For now, I'll wrap up. Enjoy your day and have a great night. We'll talk more soon.
Привет, Юрий, Инесса, Денис, Елена и Сергей.
Если кажется, что я сижу в своем офисе в Сиэтле в этот солнечный день, то вы частично правы. Страшновато? Может быть, немного. Моя мимика и звук иногда выдают ее несовершенство. И будет звучать так, будто мы свободно говорим на любом языке, независимо от того, какой. А пока я завершаю, хорошего вам дня и доброй ночи. Скоро снова поговорим. До встречи. Falls es so aussieht, als ob ich hier in meinem Büro in Seattle an diesem sonnigen Tag sitze, das ist halb richtig. Schon bald werden solche Tools es uns ermöglichen, realistische Gespräche mit jedem auf der Welt zu führen, ohne Sprachbarrieren. Und es wird so klingen, als wären wir in jeder Sprache fließend, egal in welcher. Für den Moment beende ich. Genießt euren Tag und habt eine gute Nacht.
Okay, I want to ask you, how much of that video was live? A lot of people say, well, the English part, even though my German's almost good enough to do the German parts too, but no. And here's what I want to say. Let me see if I could just come back here and hold still, okay? I wasn't wearing this shirt that day. I wasn't in my office that day at the time of this recording. At the time of this recording, I was not wearing this shirt. I was not in my office. I was not even sitting in front of a computer. I uploaded the script I generated, made translations, uploaded it, and the video basically built itself. Now, why am I talking about it at all? Think about a number of things at the same time. One, I'm speaking in Ukrainian, so if there was some reason I wanted to get political and make some points and try to gather a group in Ukraine or work with guys in Ukraine, I can do this sort of thing and be personable, right? But that's not the point there. What else? We can create videos around the world. We can do business around the world. Okay, now let me go further. A video like this, you might look and say, well, I saw some little glitchy things, and especially now that you mentioned that none of it's real, I can kind of see it. Yeah, sure. And probably another 6 months, you won't even see any at all, right? 6 to 9 months, you won't be able to tell it apart from reality, right? But that's not the point. The point is that with an API, we can create a text answering anything for any company in any of the industries using our knowledge bases already stored. We already have the massive block of information about Decrypt My Leads and how it affects all the industries. Anytime anyone calls in, whether they just want to say, hey, we took on a new partner, we'd like to update, upgrade the number of leads we can get per week from 5 to 10. Okay, we can do that automatically. because all that stuff's in the system. We can even verify who they are. We can send a code, they can say it over the phone, and we can ask them what they would like to do, and they can tell us, so we can do it in their account automatically. Funny thing is that we can do it with AI. We don't even need a human to do it. Okay, we're not exactly there yet, but we're getting close. Why do I want to keep talking about this though? When we're pitching to the companies what it is we're doing, do you think we're going to have this big old screen like this? No. It's the same thing you would expect, right? I'm down here in the corner somewhere of the screen, right? And we're going to have some stuff happening up here, right? Showing people things, okay? So training video style or presentation video style or just a pitch why they should join is part and parcel to the game. So we can reach out by phone, but we can also send email with a link showing a video for them based on however the call went. If they're like, hey, I'm pretty much sold on it, but I don't understand how this works, except I'm out of time, I gotta run off. Can you explain it to me in an email? We can send them an email with a simple answer, but if we really want, we can send one of the pre-cut templates that we set up, but we can upload the changes in the script to talk to them, right? Their company, their contact name, right? Show them stuff for them, whatever. And then, send that to them. So all I'm saying is this is part of the whole of a marketing mechanism that's great. And by the way, when I'm just this small and speaking,
Ukrainisch und Deutsch sprechen.
you don't notice all those
start
little
with English.
imperfections anyway.
If it looks like I'm sitting here in my Seattle office on this sunny...
And besides, you wouldn't care. People who are listening are not really worried about whether it's AI or human. They're interested in the information that's happening in front of them and whether that information is applicable to them. By now, you're probably watching a lot of videos that you realize are being AI generated, and you're probably starting to see more and more cases where AI figures are being used, right? So it's becoming really common. Let me show you something else. This is going to seem a lot less impressive until I explain something about it. So check this out. This is a live chat agent, okay? And if I wanted to talk about anything, I might click this. Now, keep in mind, I did not train this, okay? It doesn't have any cues for emotion. It doesn't know whether it's supposed to be engaging or interesting or polite or formal or informal or anything. So whatever text it creates, it's going to read, and it's going to sound kind of robotic because I didn't train it. But I'm going to show you something, and then we're going to talk about it. Okay, so let me just ask a question, a pre-question like this one. Say, right?
Decrypt My Leads helps your business connect with qualified prospects who are already interested in your services. We generate leads from our network of websites that rank well on search engines, and our AI system pre-qualifies them before offering them to you. You only pay for the leads you choose to accept, with no long-term contracts or minimum lead requirements.
Kind of interesting, right? Except it seems less interesting than the video functionality until I make one point. The reason I tested this at all, really, was not to see how it would sound, but to see how it would look. Here's why. I did no video training whatsoever on this. The only thing I did was upload an image. That one. See this? It's a JPEG. It's not even an animated GIF. It's a JPEG image. It's a still shot. So what makes this impressive? It is guessing how the sides of my face would look if it turns my head a little bit. It is guessing how my eyes would look if they blink. It is guessing what my teeth look like when I open my mouth. It realizes the difference between my head and the background, and it animates me like this without any video training whatsoever. That's the thing that's impressive about this. All the technologies are getting better. And by the way, what is this? A live chat agent. He'll be smaller. He's supposed to be down here in the corner. You just, hi, can I help you today kind of thing. And yeah, I'm curious about this. And he can talk back, and he can look like he's talking, so it can be personable. You could probably supersize the image or not if you wanted, but that was literally only from an image upload, okay? So everything that we can do for the marketing is duplicable, expandable. We can put things through everywhere, and we can really impress people, and we can really lock in sales, and we can get, when people land on the websites, we can encourage them to call the phone number through a lot of things. As you know, our websites self-rearrange to increase time on page and or items clicked, and we can have pages for everything. We can have it written ultra professionally. We can have our stuff on there. We can give people reasons to hang out on the page and interact more and make their life easier. Well, we got a lot further than that with the stuff we were doing, because I want to say this. Not only did we decide to make it possible to add, leads into the system and let the prospects be able to hear how the calls go, so that they understand that we are pre-qualifying them. Heck, I could even send this list to a DUI guy and say, these are the questions that we actually ask our leads. If you have any, useful adjustments or inclusions, let us know. I can make the point. I can just arrange this to make it easier to read and make that point, right? So that can be follow-up emails for guys on the fence. I'm going to get into a few more things that we're doing, because I'm just, like I said, no particular order, but all this stuff is huge. Okay. Here's another thing we thought. If we're calling and we're pitching companies and they're showing interest, what are we telling them to do? Go over there, sign up, fill in the questionnaire, get started, right? We thought that's too much work. For all the guys who are going to say, yeah, I'll do that tomorrow, or I'll do that after lunch. You know how it goes. Many people are going to put it on the shelf and just not get back to it. They got distracted or sidetracked, and they won't get back to it. So we decided we need to make our AI cold callers able to say, hey, if you're ready to start, we can do this right now over the phone. It'll take about 5 minutes. I got a handful of questions to ask you, and then we'll be able to get you in our system and get you a verification code. You can click it, and you'll be in the system at the ready with all of your preferences already understood. Would you like to do that now? 5 minutes, and the guy could be like, yeah, okay, let's go through it. And it's going to literally put them through the set of questions that we need to ask them on this questionnaire to be able to take their information, their preferences and their basic information, the company, the contact name, phone number where they want to get lead notifications, email where they want to get lead notifications, whether they want to get lead notifications by phone and or email. All right, all the stuff necessary, we literally let AI do over the phone, and then produce that data and upload it into the system. So for instance, this JSON mapping is just the notion that we can convert whatever people say on the phone, no matter all the blah, blah, blah. AI reviews the call transcript. It reads it, and it plucks out the important parts and figures out how to fill in our details in a JSON file, and then uploads it into the system. Okay? How's that for nuts? So it doesn't matter what the industry is. Whether we're asking them questions about, do you accept first-time DUI offenses, second or multiple DUI involving accidents or property damage involving injuries or fatalities, or if they're on HVAC, that's nothing alike, is it? Do you do air conditioning installation? Do you do heating system installation? Do you do duct cleaning and maintenance? Yes or no? All this kind of thing, right? All this stuff that we're asking is different for every single industry. And yet we can talk to people, the leads from the roofing websites, that differently than the HVAC websites when they call the phone number. And when we're capturing leads, we are matching to what the client said that they wanted, against the standard. So we can make highly qualified matches. It's never going to be that we lose anything. I've had some people go, well, doesn't that mean that you're splitting hairs so much that the lead basically won't fit that guy? And the answer is, we have a lot of guys. The lead will fit some percentage of them. And if we ever feel like we need to loosen that up slightly, we can do that. We can say out of 100% match, drop the requirement to a minimum 80% match or 70% match, whatever we need to do. And that's going to be fine, because if we over tighten, we can loosen it up real fast, real easy. We'll figure that out quick. We can even have the system itself make those adjustments based on people not grabbing the leads on the other end. So if companies are not taking the leads, then we can lower so that each company gets more choice to choose from, if that makes sense. Now that's nuts, right? Now I went through this stuff where I showed you that and that and this, so let me go on to this, and I want to make some points here real quick. We really did all of these totally different like lead call for garage doors, lead call for penile implants, lead call for roofing, lead call for roof max, DUI, national locksmiths, auto accident injuries, lead call, right? That means the phone numbers go on the websites, so that when people call the phone number on the website, they're talking to a service agent that's got a good voice for their needs and sounds like somebody they're going to want to talk to about the situation, right? And then we've got the questionnaires for people who call in, where we send the calls out to say, hey, are you guys ready? Because we already had a previous call and they're kind of warmed up, and we're like, hey, are you ready now? We can go ahead and do this now. So we've got all this going at the same time so that we can just let loose and yet track it all anyway. Now, that brings me to the next point I want to make. Remember what I said about the spam scoring on the phone numbers. Where is the fraud score? Spam score, fraud score, kind of the same thing. Is it lower like 65 or higher like 85? Whenever you get phone numbers through anything like Twilio, it's already going to be pretty high most of the time, for the reason that Twilio numbers are recycled constantly. They're taken up, then they're released back into the system. As a matter of fact, one thing that lowers fraud score is just to wait on phone numbers and not use them at all. But like I said, what's better is switch it from an outbound to an inbound number, right? So you can have long, normal conversations 95% of the time because it's an inbound number. And then after you've built some of that up, the spam score will drop. Then you can switch it back to an outbound number again later if you want. But that's not our point. I mean, inbound numbers we want to keep the same usually, right? The phone numbers on the websites, we don't want to just go changing them all the time because the spam score would increase, but it won't increase. They're not outbound numbers, they're inbound numbers. So the spam score won't increase. People are calling them, they're not calling people. All right, let me, but here's the point I want to make. We built an automated way to keep track of the fraud score, and every day, we can do this every run, but every day right now, our system checks all the phone numbers that we have that are outbound. All of them that are outbound, and it decides, of the ones that are outbound, which ones have a fraud score too high. Okay? And whenever that happens, our system automatically drops those numbers at the source, gets new numbers, checks them. If the score is still too high, because sometimes that happens, you can get a brand new number that somebody just released and it's got a really high spam score. But check it. And then if the score is too high, check another one. Get a good one. And then replace it through the entire system. Everything in our system cascades the updates based on the new numbers. So while we're calling out, we never miss a beat. We drop old, pick up new while we're calling out so that our performance score can be the same or better, but not depreciate. So what can keep the performance scores the same is that we don't let the numbers hit spam likely. We swap them out before every run, say. And then that way we always know, or at least once a day. But that often, okay? I think the spam scores only update once a day anyway, but we'll find that out through normal use. Okay, now having said that, that would keep the performance the same. I want to show you one more thing. This is almost half an hour for the update. Believe me, I got a lot coming out real soon, and yeah, we're just about to really hit it. But what I'm saying is that we're hitting it right in a way that we didn't even visualize when we were building the system. I knew that sooner or later we could be doing some kind of thing like capturing leads automatically, capturing new companies automatically. I didn't realize what it would take to make it happen and how to make it happen, right? There are a lot of things we need. We need files for all this stuff. All these files have lots of data, and there's reasons for them. And because of them, except for this one's actually just old. But all the rest are real. Whether we have to transfer a call, what it takes to navigate a phone menu. What happens if you hit a voicemail, as opposed to talk to a live human? What do you do? If somebody goes, explain the program to me more, or how long have you guys been around FAQ style? Well, what do you do with all the stuff? Well, these are all reference materials, okay? So we had to figure all that out, and that's so cool because we've done it. We've been figuring all this stuff out for all these things. Now what? One more thing I want to show you, and this is something I would call creme de la creme. What I have been calling creme de la creme is the fact that we track performance, right? We actually have like graphs and statistical analysis, and we can understand what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, and why. And that way we can learn from it, and as we build self-checks into the system can make certain changes that would be improved, or that would help improve the results, to the degree the system can make those decisions. But here's another layer, and this is really a big one. I love this more than anything. And people who are knowledgeable as cold callers in different industries could come in and help us with this and earn some of their own commissions just by having really good scripts. Here's what's cool. Okay, this will blow your mind. It's kind of insider pitch information. Shh, don't tell the competitors. I've never seen anyone do anything like this, okay? We've gone through a lot of the systems that are out there, and most of them look good till you start to use them, and then they're really garbage. How many of you guys have gotten a voicemail that said something like, and I mean, you see the voicemail, it's short, and you click it, and either it's just nothing, or it's static, or what? It says, to opt out, press 9. And you're like, opt out of what? I don't even know what it was. And you're already asking me to opt out in my voicemail. Why? Why does the message you leave on my voicemail simply say, to opt out, press 9, or something like that? And you just don't get it, right? What do you think causes that? Sloppy programming on the part of many of the systems that are out there that do this kind of cold calling stuff. They are sloppy. And there's either latency issues or there's sloppy interactions. And there's no way you're navigating the phone menus most of the time. As a matter of fact, most of the guys that put this stuff out, they don't even know how to beat the phone menus properly, or don't want to put the time in. So instead, they just talk about stuff you can sell to retail or residential customers. Because they're never going to have a phone menu in the house, right? To reach dad, press 1. To reach mom, press 2. To reach eldest sibling, press 3. I mean, you don't see that, right? So there isn't that for calling residential, but there is really often for calling businesses. So being able to navigate that's huge. And it's important to be able to navigate it because there's a cost to every call. You can't have a huge percentage of calls where you can't do that navigation, or else it's just going to cost you too much to get things done. But here's where it gets interesting. We talk about what it takes to get performance up. This is a tab called prompt. Prompt has a list of prompts, like, a warm and engaging prompt. You are, voice name variable, a white male in your mid-40s representing decrypt my leads. I'm being all egocentric here, I guess. When I say my mid-40s, I'm beyond my 40s. You have taken some law courses in college, giving you a basic understanding of legal terminology and concepts, especially around DWIs, DWIs, and OWIs, and severity, right? Your tone is confident, upbeat, and engaging, bouncing warmth and politeness with a genuine desire to help. Okay, this is called a prompt, right? It's not a pitch, it's a prompt. We are telling the caller who it should be, okay? That's one idea, warm and engaging. But is that going to perform better? Or is formal and authoritative going to perform better? Okay, you are voice name. a white male in your mid-40s representing Decrypt My Leads. You've taken some law courses in college, blah, blah, blah. Your tone is formal, professional, and authoritative, conveying confidence and competence while still being polite. Okay? And we go forward with that. Now, what's that sound like? It sounds like we should test a bunch of these, test a bunch of those, right? So we'll test whatever's check marked when we do a round, okay? These are active because they're checked, right? If we go up to some of these other ideas that we have, right now they're not active, are they? Okay. Well, here's the thing about it. They're active. As they're active, notice what we call weight and rate, and we have some other things. What happens is, as these go out, we're paying attention to whether these become part of something that is working better or worse. Either one of them. So we're going to find out through usage when the client hangs up the call more often, when there's a disconnect more often, or whether there's a hang time and more engagement and more talk on the part of the client. We have all these items that go into the checklist for what makes a call a good call, right? So we're watching how these things perform. The ones that perform better, they're going to get rated higher, okay, whatever the number is, and that's going to cause their weight to go down or their weight to go up. The weight means, like if we're going to do the next 100 calls, what percentage of those calls should use this and what percentage should use that? And that right there, weighting, is our way of finding out, continually testing into directions. What if we had another idea? We could throw it in here and make it active. And new gets special treatment so that it can get pulled into the swing of things, so it can also develop rate and weight, and therefore weight, right? If you get the idea, you understand that is incredibly valuable because we can force the prompt to improve, over time, and to therefore cause a better impact. But these are good, man. Warm and engaging, formal and authoritative. Like I said, we're getting close. Now, this is for DUI, right? If I'm doing plumbers, I'm going to be warm and engaging anyway. I'm not going to be formal and authoritative. I'll be more like informal and friendly, or informal and convincing, So every industry, service industries have a style. Formal industries, doctors, lawyers, and other assorted Indian chiefs have their own styles. So the prompts are really going to come down to what kind of industry are they, all that kind of thing, right? Well, what now? We've got the prompt. That's how it's supposed to talk. But what's it supposed to say? Well, we've got first messages. That's what it opens with. Hi, I'm so-and-so from Decrypt My Leads. We offer high-quality leads tailored specifically for law firms. Could you please direct me to the person who handles new client intake? Okay, that's one idea. There's another. Similar but different. And they all have their own different points. And that's going to allow us to develop scores on these things so that we can see what's working better and worse. And we can keep adding. Make sense? So combinations because we're going to start off randomly. We're going to use these randomly with these randomly. And then that's going to go with the pitch. Here's a pitch. Here's another pitch. Another pitch. Oh. So we're going to figure out which combinations are working for the style it's supposed to have, the way it opens the conversation, the actual pitch it gives, and the closing, the CTA. Are they supposed to go to the website? Are they supposed to fill out the questionnaire now? Are they supposed to give us like a phone number or an email address that we can add into a newsletter, or we can call the right guy back tomorrow, the guy in charge of lead intake at the law firm, And so we have profit-focused CTA, profit reassurance CTA, action-focused, or a deal closer kind of thing, right? So what works best? And it's not only one's going to outperform all the rest. It could be that two of these each do like 40% well, And then the other, I don't care if it's 5, are sharing the last 20%. Like they're each doing 4% well, you know? But the 40% well ones, ooh, they should be weighted the most and used at least 80% of the time for the future calls until things change from adding in new variations. Because if we add new variations and they're not going to work, no problem, they don't work. And so we're going to stick with our leaders. If we add new variations in and they really change the way the seesaw balances at this point, right? They changed, well, the scales, I guess. Then, yeah, they're going to change that, the weighting and therefore, well, the rating and therefore the weighting, you know, on the future rollouts. But it's beautiful because we can keep checking and we can label groups so we can keep track of them. We can make sure that if it starts a certain way, it continues in that way. If it starts a different way with a different group to start off with, if it's made active in the prompt, then we can go with that group as we move forward and just check the variations within that group, okay? Now, this is neat because every industry, you can look through YouTube, you can look through Google, you can look through anywhere, and there's people saying, hey, the script of mine really works with plumbers, or the script of mine really works with roofers, you know. And so we can try concepts left and right. Some people are giving away scripts they swear work. Other guys, we could just offer them, hey, you know, come in here and put some variations of yours in. That's if we need to, you know. At this point, I don't know that we need to. I mean, we're monitoring the calls. We're listening to the follow-ups. We can see what people say. Now, we haven't done any calls since a little before Christmas for the obvious reasons. Everything was going on. We weren't able to add people into the system. It's Christmas coming up, and we thought, why just blow all the money? But now it's pretty much over. And I know it's the 9th, which seems long, but those who know us really well, you know, my wife's Russian Orthodox, so our Christmas actually runs into January 7th before it ends. So her Christmas is January 7th. It's called Nativity, right, instead of Christmas. And that just ended. So I've been finally back to work with the kids and a wife. You know, all the vacations done. This is the time of the year when it's a long time for me to get through all that, but I will put the time into the family because they deserve it, and it's great. And so now I'm back. So yeah, running late or not, we're going to catch up hard and fast. I think the fact that we can do different prompts with different first messages that open the conversation with different pitch, and we can tell if people hung up the phone on the first messages or hovered and hung in there, and we're curious. Okay, rating and waiting right on the first messages. We can tell if that worked better if somebody had this style, warm and engaging, or that style, formal and authoritative in that industry, because we're doing these differently for every industry. We can tell if we got people through the prompt and the first message if they're hovering through the pitch. We can tell which of the pitches have the golden nuggets that they were looking for. You know, the way we present it, right? Whether it's more, like I said, whether it's more what? Profit focused or profit reassurance or action focused or deal closer kind of thing. Okay. So again, we get to see what combinations of prompt, first message, pitch, and CTA are going to be the winning combinations, are going to have the best track record. And we can always stick with those. And then that guides us for any variations we want to create after that, because it'll be based on what was working and not what wasn't. So if we were to put a bunch of these up and just say to GPT, hey, see all these? Well, here's what we found out. All of these suck except for these two, which are awesome. So we want you to try creating 3 more that we can test against these to see if they perform even better. But don't make them anything like these other ones here because they don't work. Come up with something new and interesting and yet commonplace. You know, we can do this, all right? So we can make our CTAs better, make our pitches better, make our first messages hold their interest better, make the very style that the thing speaks with better in the first place, right? So this is exactly all the stuff we've been putting into this. If you take that and couple it with the concept of swapping out the phone numbers as soon as they show any kind of spam likely. Here's what we have. Instead of the performance chart going down because of spam likely, we're swapping out the phone numbers, which should keep performance about the same. But because we're doing all the split testing through these sections here, performance will go up, right? Performance going up means making money. Performance going up means making more. And as we do this across more industries, and we're going to do it all at once, basically, because we're at a point now where we put so much effort into each of these industries, and they're like ready. Again, what does it really take to sell the guys in any of these industries that we can get lead qual that works for them? I'll show you. Check this out. These are the demos. You can try them now. No guarantee that all these phone numbers are going to keep performing or if they're going to get swapped out. They're not supposed to because these are for inbound, not outbound. But you can call this and see how far we got with this. Just play along, okay? These are demos, so don't worry. Even if your data gets entered into our system and everything is a lead, how cool is that? We'll be able to see that. We'll be able to verify how it went, okay? So don't worry, but go for it. Call any one of these things. Just see what you want to say and play ball. Some of these I actually test in odd ways. You know, I'll call the locksmith and I'll say, you know, my child is in the car and he's choking and I can't get in the car. And he'll say, if there's such a dangerous emergency, you need to dial 911, hang up with us and call them. Do you understand? I'm going to get off the phone so you can call 911. Beep. You know, that's the kind of thing that I've been testing. And yet that's different than an emergency like, hey, I got an emergency. I'm locked out of my car. My baby's locked in the car, but he's 2 years old. He's fine. He's sitting in a car seat right now. There's no problem with him and it's not too hot or anything, but I do need somebody out here pronto. That means I do need a locksmith, right? So the locksmith should not say, oh my God, hang up and dial 911, right? The locksmith should be, we're going to get somebody out there as soon as humanly possible. And if if something gets worse, if your child winds up hurting, make sure to dial 911, right? If worse comes to worse, smash your window out on some other side of the car. Now, I haven't given it all these instructions yet. I've been giving it the basic instructions, but it's fun. I'll call for penile implants and try different angles. Hi, are you looking into penile implant options? Yes. It's like, what's got you looking into penile implant options? Sometimes I'll just say, hey, I'm in my 50s. I've been married 25 years. Need I say more? And I'm looking for it to be kind of informal and amusing in its response. But sometimes I'll call it and say, hi, I just found out that I got diagnosed with cancer. I'm going to die in about 2 or 3 months, and I want to have all the sex I can before I die. You know, test it. Say different things. See what it does. When you call DUI, you'll wind up saying the weirdest things if you keep thinking, oh, yeah, I should ask about this. Oh, yeah, I should ask about that. So you're like, yeah, I got caught for DUI weaving last night. And they'll say, and in the conversation, it'll ask, did anyone get hurt? And I'll say, yeah, I forgot to mention that a homeless guy was stumbling across the street and I ran him over. He's in the hospital. I don't know if he's alive or dead. It's like, oh my God. So then it's like, wow, that's going to throw a lot of complication into the works. It's very consternating, And I'll say, is this your first DUI? And I'll say, no, this is actually my third. It's like, oh my God, how old are you? Is there any underage person? I would say, yeah, I'm 16. It's like 16 years old with 3 DUIs, but the thing's not making fun of me. He's just taking the notes, right? And then I'll say, was your blood alcohol content above 0.15? And I'll say, yeah, actually it was 0.18 on my third DUI. And I'm waiting for him to say, good God, you've had 3 DUIs and you're only 16. But of course he won't say that and shouldn't say that. He should treat it professionally and just roll forward from there. But like I'm telling you, right, that if you go calling these demos and you're just curious how they go, come up with something, or just go with the flow and see what it says. There will be more and more things that we add to these as we extrapolate, right? For instance, if we're painting, okay, are we painting something residential or commercial, right? Could be residential. Okay, is it new construction? That's a new question, right? are there going to be people in the building, or is the building going to be vacant at the time the painters come? Oh, that makes sense, especially if you're going to paint indoors the whole place or the whole lower floor, right? Then you've got questions like, is it a single person home or a multi-unit home? You know, do we have the permission to paint it, right? Obviously we need the homeowner's permission, right? So there you have it. And then with the homeowner's permission, if it's a multi-unit place, the homeowner's going to need to make sure that the place is not occupied, or work with the people, you know, in order to get the place painted. That stuff doesn't happen very often, but my whole point is we've been building these up nicely. That way, when these companies who do these jobs check the demos too, because that's what we're going to do. We're going to offer the painting guys the painting demo so they can call it and see how it goes. We're going to offer the plumbing guys the plumbing demos so that they can call it, see how it goes. That way they can sell themselves on the value, right? We can even have the demos ask for the guy's email and then just send him or phone number and send him a sample lead notification based on what he said, so he can see how what was said converts into what he gets, so he can understand that the value of that information that he receives in his hand, right? If that guy does his own demo, it's going to feel like a really, really real case to him. And then if he gets it on his phone as a text or in his email, whichever way he prefers, or both, then guess what? He's really getting sold on the concept, right? So we can do that and lock and load for these guys to prepay for credits, and we can offer free credits with the first purchase, okay? So that they can just make sure that they can navigate through the system and that they can trip over the first few guys. We're giving up our own profits on that first round, but we're doing it so that they can get in. We have to sell the leads, but they can get in and make sure that they're comfortable with the process, so that as they're getting new leads in the future, they're not going to feel like they're confused about anything. They're going to totally be comfortable with it. Does that make sense? Questionnaire inbound. This is just you call and you say, yeah, I'm a lawyer, you know, or I'm a house painter, or I'm a plumber, and it starts to take the information about you. What's the name of your company? What's a phone number where you want to get a lead notification? You know, what do you do? What don't you do? Et cetera, et cetera. Okay, I've really pressed this recording. I just realized it's like 52 minutes. It's been a long time since I gave an update, though, so maybe it's fitting. And it's a lot of information, but I think you see where we are and where we're going. This thing is really close. And the idea that we can back it up with even more, we can just start making it so personable by introducing concepts like this. I don't see a point in introducing that yet unless I find a point, but this stuff is coming, right? The power of being able to reach out and explain to companies what benefits them. So it would be basically the same video. It would use a video template, but it would have a different piece added to it every time, which relates to that new company. Does that make sense? So we can auto-generate those through an API and auto-send them the links to the video and even the inserts probably into the email body to each of the companies. That's not something I'm focused on right now. That'll be like a next step because I really want to get this thing launched. But what I'm saying is the technologies are making this doable now. And so we're just unfolding one step at a time. But we're going there, man. This whole thing is going to happen. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what to tell you other than I'm really absolutely amazed what can be done now. And the fact that we can do it internationally. We could expand what we're doing with leads to companies into other countries, okay? And so anywhere where we find that they're underserved and that they would love to have access to this kind of, you know, functionality, we can do it. We can get phone numbers that are in different countries and run them on websites that we set up on servers that are based in those countries. If we go that far, we can do it. And then create a market out there, create another market in that country. These are possible. You know, we've got some time before we're going to be there. I know you guys want payouts, right? I don't blame you. And what I want to do is just make that happen hard and fast. But the reason I'm showing you all this is to show you that we're not playing games and we are making this happen hard and fast. We're going to go through all these industries. We're checking all the spam and swapping it out ASAP. And we're going through all the different elements to the pitch to be able to test through the pitches and make these things work. We even created groups so we can decide if we want to test different things at a time. Like the prompt could be based on group B. Maybe group B is us against Google Ads. Why choose us instead of Google Ads? Because maybe that's the angle, pitch angle. So if this thing selects a message randomly from group B, then it will continue with group B only options. Even if everything's checkmarked, it's only going to choose among the group B. When it goes into the pitch, it's only going to choose among the group B, right? When we go into call CTA, it's only going to choose among the group Bs. Well, what if we create a group C for us versus Home Advisor? See, it's a whole different thing. The leads are cheap at Home Advisor, but that's because there's no exclusivity. Lead might be $40, but Home Advisor will sell that to like 5 guys at once. 40, 40, 40, 40. So they'll make $200 on the lead. But then you got a bidding war between the companies, right? So we're going to step in and help everyone out, with these things and fix this kind of problem for them. And we can do this at scale. People can be calling through the websites and talking to the agents at the same time. There could be 30 calls. Pretty soon, we're going to be able to do it in probably any language right on the spot. Some of the technologies, the way they're set up now, we can swap languages in voice. Other things are not set up that way yet, but can be. I mean, either just using existing tools or, whenever we're ready, or as, new tools become available in functions that we're using now. All right. I think you get it. And I just wanted to make sure you understood what was going on. The fact that we're close, running later than I thought, but we have not been lying around on a hammock over here, except for the fact that we kind of have, because, it's been Christmas and New Year's. And that sort of forces everyone to do the same thing, lie around on the hammock until they need to get back to work. Holiday's over. Mush, But here we go. So we're back and we're pushing, and yeah, it will not be long. I think we are going to have an awesome 2025, just the way things are unfolding. All right. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are too. This is Dave. I'm signing off. The real Dave, by the way, I'm signing off. And yeah, we're just going to keep pushing. We're so close. All right.